Social anxiety is my constant companion. It is the fear of being judged. It's the light that shines on all of your imperfections. It's there when you don't want it to be, and it shows up at the most inconvenient times. If you're someone with social anxiety, you will probably relate to this video so much. In today's video, I want to talk about 10 things that really only socially anxious people will probably relate to. Before we get into the video, I just want to quickly welcome everyone who's new here. My name is Bridget. On this channel, you'll find me talk a lot about social anxiety, a lot about introverts, general anxiety, and other mental health related things. So if those topics interest you, make sure you go check out some of my other videos. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful or useful. Comment below what you'd like to see more from me, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. So let's get into the video. Okay, so these will be in absolutely no particular order. They just kind of came to me when they did, and they're all pretty much relevant and honestly relatable. Number one, we imagine embarrassing ourselves in any kind of social situation. I'm the type of person who will be thinking of like any scenario in which I might sound stupid or I might mess up in front of somebody else. And it's always right before a social interaction. It will always be worst case scenario. We are constantly thinking that we're being judged by people, so this is something that a lot of people with social anxiety will typically do before they go into a social interaction. Number two, we avoid situations in which we will be judged, and just for that reason. We fear judgment so much. We fear sounding stupid or sounding awkward or nervous. And so we avoid those situations. We won't go out and meet new people or go in public places for that reason. Number three, we only feel comfortable with a few specific people. And I've talked about this in a lot of my videos actually. I have a core group of people that I am most comfortable with and I feel safe with. These are like my safe people, either my best friends, my partner, my siblings, family, whatever. These are the people where I am truly myself with. And it's not because I don't like other people or I don't want other people to know who I am. It's just that I need to spend a lot of time with you in order to get to that safe level with you. Number four, we worry that people will notice our fear. Again, it goes back to that judgment. We often live inside of our heads. We're constantly overthinking, imagining that worst case scenario. And so we might go into a conversation or be mid-conversation with somebody and we worry about, can they see that my hands are sweating? Do they notice that my heart is racing? Do I look nervous? Do I sound unintelligible? Like, do I sound stupid right now? And because we're constantly worried about those things, it keeps happening. And it's like this cycle that builds and builds and builds. The more I'm worried about someone looking at my sweaty hands or my sweaty armpits or my blushed face, the more I do it. The more the anxiety builds and the more those physical reactions happen. Five, we often experience very specific social fears. So a lot of people, regardless if you're socially anxious or not, might have the fear of public speaking. That's like a common social fear. People with social anxiety, it's a lot more specific than that. For me, one of my big social fears is talking on the phone. And it could be just as simple as trying to make an appointment at a doctor's office, even calling my grandmother. I'm better at it now, but I still have that pause before I go to make a phone call, like, oh my God, like what am I gonna say? What if I mess up? Other people I know have fear of eating in public. That's a common one as well. Number six, we often criticize our social skills. So this one is super common and I don't even know if a lot of people know this about themselves, at least people who are socially anxious, that when, say we're with our safe person and we're worried about having a conversation with somebody else, we're going to a party, we're going to wherever, and we say things like, I do this all the time with my husband, like, what if I don't know what to say? What if I mess up? What if there's nothing to talk about? And I'm building up this conversation in my head so much. I'm trying to prepare for it. I'm trying to think of things to say. I'm trying to think about how I'll sound and how I'll portray myself. Whereas someone who doesn't have this fear, it doesn't think about the conversation at all, even if they know they're meeting new people. I'm so envious of my husband because of this. He never thinks about that stuff. He never has to think about that stuff. Whereas I'm constantly critiquing how I sound in a conversation. And again, it's something that I probably don't sound that bad, but it's just a fear that I carry with me sometimes. Number 7, this is kind of like that. Our thoughts often become self-fulfilling prophecies, meaning that say we're the type of person who thinks we get really nervous around people, or that we tend to sound awkward or stupid or whatever. As long as we have that thought about ourselves, we're going to keep living it. So if you're someone who thinks they're awkward in group settings, or they don't sound well, they're not a good communicator, you will be less likely to put yourself in those situations. If you're at a social gathering, at a party, you might be the one to stay in the corner to avoid that. And that aloofness will make people think that you're being awkward. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not even that you are awkward, it's that you're doing things because you think you're awkward, and therefore people see you as awkward. And I often have to catch myself having these types of thoughts because they can kind of keep you stuck in this state of thinking and this state of living even, and hinder you from having the right experiences, the right social experiences that are going to propel you into whatever you want to do. Number 8, this one's a big one for me. We often feel like we can't contribute to conversations with multiple people. So if I'm having a conversation with somebody, or I'm in midst of a conversation with several people and they're having conversation, having good discussion, sometimes I get too in my head about what I'm going to say that will contribute to the conversation. I often have those thoughts that whatever I'm going to say is not worthy or is not valid, so I don't speak up. And then when people ask me for my opinion, it puts the pressure on, and then I mess up. Whereas if I had just interjected, or I don't know, felt like I was worthy and my commentary was worthy, I wouldn't have sounded stupid. Number 9, we often experience rapid heartbeat, heavy breathing, panting, sweating, all the things. And that's just like a physical reaction that anybody with anxiety will have in a very anxious situation. So people with social anxiety, when you go into a conversation, you might be really working yourself up. You might be sweating, you might be breathing hard. And I often find that it's usually the more uncomfortable conversations, or the conversations that I have with people who I think very highly of, or who I look up to, that I may not speak to that often. And after that conversation, I will literally have to change. Like, soaked. My pits are soaked, my hands are clammy, my back is sweating. I will have to change after that conversation. Last but not least, we are sometimes overly concerned about our looks. And this is something I've been trying to change. I think I mentioned this in one of my videos a couple weeks ago. I'll try to link it up here. Sometimes basically all the time actually, when I go into public, or when there's some kind of event, I will spend a little bit more time trying to make sure my hair looks nice, my makeup looks nice, my outfit's good, because we live with that fear of constant judgment. We think that people are inherently judging us all the time. It could be on our looks, it could be on what we're saying. And so for me, I don't know how other people feel, but I think that if I look good on the outside, maybe people won't pay as much attention. If I look good, they're not going to judge me as hard, which is just such a flawed way of thinking. But it's something that, I don't know, I've always kind of just thought. Ever since I was a young girl, I've always had that thought, which is why I spend way too much time getting ready. For who, for what, I don't know, you know? But yeah, I hope those of you who have social anxiety, or even others who watch this just because you were curious, I hope that you found something to relate to. I'm sure you did. And I hope this video maybe made you laugh, maybe helped you kind of put things into perspective a little bit. But I wanted to keep it short, straight to the point, and I thought it was a good topic because I've done this video on introverts and some of them kind of overlap, but I think there were a few others that I don't think you can really just pin on introverts. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, got some use out of it, and I will see you next time.